Namaste and good morning and welcome to another bicycle live stream at 7:36 a.m. on a cool Saturday the 6th of June. I've ridden 22 kilometres this morning and it's a pretty perfect winter's morning out here, so thank you for joining me. This morning I want to talk about how to transcend pain's perfectly powerful necessity. So let us start by talking about or mentioning one of those great sayings that pain is a great motivator. A great saying that has a great word in it, great. Pain is a great motivator, and it comes in so many different forms that we can be motivated in different ways by it. But the question has to be asked, why is there a necessity for pain at all? Why is it powerfully perfect, and why is there a necessity for it? And then the next question has to be asked, how or why would we want to transcend pain? And I think that's fairly obvious. Why would we want to transcend pain? So let's go back to pain being a great motivator. And let's also talk about the fact that it doesn't even have to be, sort of big pain. It can be mild inconvenience. Mild irritation can also be a great motivator. I think every man and their dog is out here this morning, literally. So, just a moment, try and get past this person here, this little kid here. Right. So, okay. I'm on track now. So, pain, we've got obviously physical pain, which for those of us that have been through it, and that would be everyone, it serves a purpose. And, a very obvious example is that if we did not have pain receptors physically, if we did not have the ability to withdraw immediately from something that's physically painful, we could damage our bodies to the point of irreparability. And that's so obvious that if we found that we were in a fire getting burnt, our automatic reaction is that there is a pain reflex reaction, and we automatically try to protect ourselves. The same thing happens, in any situation where we're facing an injury, we try to protect ourselves. Now, emotionally, the same thing happens, and I've spoken about this recently, that we have an emotional response to protect ourselves from pain, and emotionally we don't see it happening, but if we're aware enough, if we can tune in enough to our subtle nuances, I don't think these traffic lights are ever going to change. If we can tune in, we will become aware that if we face a situation of emotional pain, we will develop, especially if it's repeated emotional pain, we will develop a strategy, a response to it, a way of coping with it, a protective mechanism. We will surround it in some sort of energy. And it's good to think in terms of energy, because we will either use a loving energy or perhaps in our reflex response to emotional pain, we will actually surround it in a dark energy of anger and confusion and guilt, shame perhaps. And these are energies, these are ties that bind us energetically. But they do serve a powerfully perfect purpose, and they are a necessity. Because we go back to the understanding that pain is a great motivator. We realize, when we think really, really honestly about our life, we realize that we are, most of us, inherently lazy and not motivated to make change unless there's a reward. And pain acts as an inverse reward, if you like, to get us off our bums and to look for a better way. So what I want to talk about this morning is, how do we find a better way? How do we transcend pain and its message? Well, the message is always important with pain. It's telling us that something is not right in the way that we are doing things, in our approach, in our understanding, something like that. From a physical point of view, put our hand into a fire, straight away it's telling us this is not right in the way you are doing things here. If you're going to put your hand into a fire, you're going to have to wear a protective suit. Otherwise, you're going to injure yourself. This is the same on an emotional level. If we're going to put our hand into an emotional fire, we need to wear a protective suit. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is we need to be aware that if we are going to enter a tiger's cage, we have to be wise enough to understand what the capabilities of that tiger is. What can that tiger do? And how do we protect ourselves in case that tiger decides to act naturally, to defend itself, to act aggressively? This is what a wise person does. They look at these situations and they go, okay, I'm aware that I'm putting myself in a dangerous situation, so I need to take precautions. So we need to do this emotionally, because emotional pain is a greater motivator, consistently greater motivator than physical pain for the majority of people. And the fact that it's not seen, it's felt by the individual, but it's often not seen. Well, it's not seen as such by outsiders, but it is observed in the behavioural responses of someone who is dealing with emotional pain. So trained observers, and even amateur or casual observers, will know that something is off, I guess you could say, when somebody doesn't respond to a situation in a way that is considered a normal, healthy response. Then we know that they are dealing with situations within themselves that prevent them from responding in a normal, healthy way. So I have been practicing a spiritual technique for 28 years now, which is called transcendental sound, also known as mantra meditation. And its power is beyond what we can think of with our limited mind. And to describe how that's possible and how it works and how it transcends emotional pain, we need to understand that there are different energies, different unseen energies at work. We have the material energy of the world, but we also have what is known beyond it as transcendental energy. And it is, as the word describes, it transcends material energy. It is an energy that emanates from the universe itself and carries with it the power to transcend material misery. It's like the fire extinguisher for the fire. And the proof that this is actually something that exists is by putting it into practice and seeing how it works. I had a very interesting experience during the week. They'll know that my father was diagnosed a couple of months ago with mesothelioma, which is asbestos cancer. And, he has good days and he has not so good days. And he was, a couple of nights ago, I see him every day and I sit with him and we do breathing and they do meditation and I make them juice and Mum makes smoothies and take him a soup, and there's a lot of different things that I've been doing for Father, and I pray with them and tell him how much he's loved, and we do positive affirmations. I read him the book on surviving mesothelioma. So there's a lot of stuff I do. But a couple of nights ago, he wasn't really going particularly well. And I was sitting there, Mum, myself and Father, all in their lounge. And I just happened to, we just finished doing a breathing meditation, which he loves, and he was very relaxed from that. And just got a notification come up that some mantra meditation had started and was being live streamed. So I flipped on the mobile phone and it started playing. Almost immediately, my father was mesmerized and touched by it, and it was the most amazing, beautiful thing to see, especially considering that in the 28 years that I've been chanting mantra meditation, chanting mantras, my father has spent almost all of that time poo-pooing it and criticizing it and, you know, sort of mocking it, never wasting an opportunity if he heard it on to sort of go, oh, what is that racket, or, you know, something else that wasn't particularly pleasant. So he was never attracted to it. Well, what happened 2 nights ago blew my mind to the point, and my mind and my mother's mind, to the point where not only was it an amazing example of the power of transcendental sound, but we were so emotionally moved that both my mum and I we had a lot of liquid happiness. We had tears streaming down our face, because what we witnessed was almost immediately from when Dad started hearing the transcendental mantras, he closed his eyes, he relaxed back on the lounge, and he opened his mouth and he started mouthing the mantras. And Mum sort of, she didn't say anything out loud, but she just sort of touched me to look over at Father. You know, she elbowed me and just said, oh, didn't say, but elbowed me to have a look over at Father. And I look over and he's there with his eyes closed, a smile on his face, and he's chanting the mantras silently. And it just blew us away. If you ever wanted an example of the power of transcendental sound to get through all the emotional pain and the physical pain and to reach its home in our heart, that was, you know, the best example I can think of. Just amazing. So for half an hour, he sat there with his eyes closed, with his mouthing the mantras. This is a man that has always criticized him, and he was loving it. He was tapping his hands to the beat. He was mesmerized by it. And Mum and I just kept looking over at him, and I reckon for the first 20 minutes we were crying. We were just tears of happiness, just like, this is amazing. So we ended up, the three of us, my father, Mum and I, all chanting. and it was like, here's something that I've done for 28 years that my father resisted and had no, you know, interest in. And in a time when pain has become a great motivator for him, when it has become something that he's facing every day physically and emotionally, when he's facing his mortality, he was attracted to that which transcends pain, transcendental sound. It transcends pain, it transcends the material, and it's such a simple understanding, such a simple energy to connect into. You don't even have to chant, you just listen and allow the power of the universe to resonate through you and to connect with its own power within you. And you can even, because it operates at a vibratory level beyond our understanding, it will even work with people who are deaf. It also works with animals and other living beings. They pick up on the power of the transcendental sound as well. So you can actually benefit trees, the grass and the birds and the bees and the pets in your home by giving them the gift of transcendental sound. So that is the message I wanted to tell you, that there is an energy beyond the material energy of pain, beyond the material and emotional energies of pain, that transcends it. It's known as transcendental sound. It's also known as mantra meditation. I share the live streams on my page regularly, and in fact, I am often involved with doing the live streams. up until recently, of course, with the current situation. But you're welcome to listen to them and allow them to reach that point within your heart where all truth is stored. I hope this reaches your heart. Live vegan and save lives. Have a magnificent day and weekend. Ahimsa.